Good morning, Gold Nation. Welcome to the second episode of the 2025 season of MEC Wednesday. My name is Stephanie Flood. I am your Chief Operations Officer, and we have a very special session today. So I want to just get right into this, and I want to introduce my special guest who's here joining us. So I want to introduce all of you to Kasama Lee, who is a Remax Gold agent in American Canyon. So, Kasama, let's get started. I never like to really give a bio on our guests. I like our guests to be able to share who they are. So, would you share with our audience a little bit about your bio and your background? And then we're going to dive into this awesome topic today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Stephanie and Keith, and really Remax Gold family for having me on. This is the second time actually, and I'm really honored to be able to just share my humble journey with you. Again, my name is Kasama Lee. A really loving shout out to Keith Art and our beloved Carrie Foley, who believed in me and my business and my involvement in the American Canyon community and opened up this office in 2019. And I never thought that it was important to have an office, a physical office in the city that you have poured into. And Carrie successfully convinced me that that would have been a difference maker, and it has done that in tenfold. I cover really the main part is American Canyon. I've lived here for 22 years. And the business, we actually have clients all around the surrounding cities as well, in Napa, Vallejo, Benicia, Fairfield, Vacaville. We've gone as far as, Walnut Creek. That's really far, right? But anyway, and Sacramento as well. So we're kind of serving all the surrounding areas based on where the clients are taking us to. That's where I'm at, and I've been in a real estate agent since 2004, and 2 years ago, my amazing best friend slash husband left his CPA career of all the over 2 decades and became my business partner, became licensed, and we're the tiny team Kasama Lee that are just doing our thing. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we are missing Keith this morning, but he's here with us in spirit, of course. We'll have him back with us next month. So today's topic, I think, is really relevant to so much of what's going on in our industry. And people outside of our industry think that it's more of a transactional business. And
Yep.
technically, yes, we do transactions, but there's so much more to that. So, what we want to talk about today is how we're successful in creating this experience for the consumer. So, it's so much more than a transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start at the beginning. How do you take that consumer that you may or may not know in a transaction and create this relationship with them and really evolve them into someone that you're going to have a relationship with for longer than a transaction?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I am a person of strong faith, and I feel that every single client, however they end up reaching out to us, or however, if I was introduced to them, or if they private message asking about the real estate market or a listing that we have, um, they're sent to us for a reason. And our job is to take excellent care of them. They're like family, like the way I look at real estate is it's a ministry that I get paid to do to serve families. And I wouldn't have had the privilege to meet these families and these lives any other way if it weren't because of real estate. So real estate is just a starting point, if that makes sense. And from there, that's when the friendship really, the relationship and all the things take place actually after the transaction is closed. Ironically enough, and actually in my thank you card, at the end, congratulations, I have these custom things made. It says, this is where our friendship truly begins at closing. Because I really feel that, you gain so many precious friendships because of real estate. So because of that, that's when we party. That's when, I check in with them, and I'm not telling you anything that most agents don't already know, but I do it because it's not because I want to get more referrals or because it's not what I want. It's because that's what I would do with a friend, right? And I do what we call a gratitude party. This is an annual party that we have started um, 6 years ago. And I remember the first one, it was at our local chamber, American Canyon Chamber office, and there were like 50 people, and it was already packed because it's a smaller office. But we had the kids zone, we had, food and all the things and photo booth and all that. Oh, guess what's coming up? That's the gratitude party. So that was the one in 2023. I serve on the board of American Canyon Boys and Girls Club, or Napa Valley Boys and Girls Club, and that's the facility. So that place has a lot of meaning to me because this is where a lot of lives have changed with kids. And so at our gratitude party, it's by invitation only, even though people, and sometimes I get people asking, how do I get invited to the gratitude party? Well, let me tell you how you do that, right? There are people that are not just clients, they're people who have blessed our lives, my son's lives. I have two, college age sons, people from our church, leaders in our community, people who have just sort of somehow impacted us in a positive way that have given us the joy and the everything that there is that are positive in our lives. So this last year, 2024, we had 140 people. Yeah. From 50 to 140. That's pretty cool, right? And it's a lot of fun. And through my eyes, I get to see people that they don't necessarily know each other, but because of us, through us, they're able to connect. So it's people, just imagine you're planning your wedding or your birthday party and you decide who's going to be there, right? And it's the people that just light you up. So they all light me up all in one room. Kids are playing, running around, and like all the things are happening. And this last year, if I may share, Stephanie, by the way, Stephanie, thank you for having been there year after year for 4 consecutive years. It just means so much to me. Kathy Riss was able to come with you. I just think it's so awesome. Like you're family to us at this point as well. But this last year, our pastor's daughter was diagnosed with leukemia in April, and she lost all her hair, and we were able to give her a gift, a private pool party at our house. Like I made this like really cool certificate, and I shared it to the room, and this ties to the commitment that Remax Go has with Children's Miracle Network, which I contribute to that. So it just like the whole theme became about giving back, and I asked our guests to bring toys and things for the pediatric department at Kaiser Oakland. When they go through chemo, they sit there all day. So it could be journal for the teenagers, all kinds of stuff. So it was like we had two wagons full of like really nice stuff. So it turned into this like thing that is bigger than Bart and me. And that's what I hope the gratitude party will continue to be. And, people were crying when they saw our Skylar, our pastor's daughter, come up, and she was so happy and excited. She was being honored, and we were just cheering her on. That's what I'm talking about. That's the relationship building part that is beyond real estate. Real estate just was the starting point for us. So I hope that kind of gives you a picture of like how my brain works.
I love that. I have really been honored to be there to watch how the parties have grown over the years and
Yeah.
watch you in action in this room where you know every person in the room. And it's so much fun to stand back and watch that. So let's
Thank
talk
you.
about when you first get maybe a referral or someone contacts you from your
Mm,
YouTube channel, which we will have to include the link when we send out this recording because your YouTube channel has generated a lot of leads for you. So
mm.
that consumer reaches out to you. And I know that it's very important to you how you establish trust and you onboard. You have kind of an onboarding process for your clients. And I love the way that that sounds. So, can you speak a little bit to how you start that relationship with a lead that comes to you that way and how you help onboard them and show them what you and Bart are going to do during the process?
Sure. So it really, COVID has brought a lot of things into our lives, right? And we literally came to Remax Gold and then COVID hit, like 6 months later, literally, talk about, and then we were confined in our home and, we couldn't see people at the office. It was just like strange. But because of that, we pivoted and I pivoted at that time. At that time, Bart wasn't in the business with me yet, but I learned to do a bunch of stuff on Zoom, right? Just like everybody else. So the onboarding till today has become a Zoom thing, or sometimes even a conference call, where especially if they are not referred to us and they're not from the warm sphere, or people that were already choosing to work with us, they checked us out on YouTube. Just to kind of give you a perspective, I have a YouTube channel with not like a big subscription, not a lot of views, just decent, but I've been doing this for the last 3 years, where every Thursday a new video goes out and it's more educational stuff, informational stuff. Sometimes it's market updates. And we send it out through BombBomb. So it goes out to the the newsletter list. And I think it's about 800 subscribers. So they get the video, the updates of what's going on, interest rates, all the things. Very short. And I write it myself. So it's not a templated thing that I, hire a company to do. I don't have a long attention span. So my newsletter is short and sweet. Okay. That's all I could do. So anyway, so they get that. So let's say they come on board and they say, they'll message us, for example, like this recent client, he messaged us and said, we're looking to buy. What's the process to get started? So it's a series of questions that we ask, and you would ask people this in general when you're. I don't even see it as an onboarding thing. It's more like you're building relationship, back to the relationship thing, right? I want to know what's important to them. I want to know what's their timeline horizon is. I want to know if they are familiar with the pre-approval process. I want to know where they live now. I want to know how many kids they have. What are they looking for, right? So we might text a little bit and I'm like, okay, let's schedule a call. So we schedule a call, we go on a call with them, and I usually try to make sure that Bart is on the call or on the Zoom as well, because he handles more of the buyer side and I handle more of the seller side. And on the call, there's a checklist that now it's in my head. I memorize it and I ask them a lot of questions and I take notes. I have two screens going and I take notes of what they're saying. And then we start the process. And if they haven't started the process with a lender, that's the first thing that I would do. And I will ask them, do you have a lender that you're confident in working with? So it's all in the wording that you use, right? And most of the time they'll be like, no, confident, no. I mean, we went online, and so I want to make sure that we're working with a lender that's going to be delivering the goods, right? At the end of the day, somebody that I have a leverage, again, relationship. We're going to just use this relationship as a theme. I'm going to keep saying it. You can count how many times I say it, but it's the lender that I know I can count on and will take great care of our clients the way that we would take great care of our clients, walking them through the process, not rushing them, and making sure they understand and not be surprised at the signing table because they didn't know about something. So we don't want any of that. So once that gets going, I don't even touch that buyer. I might check in until I tell them, manage the expectation. I tell them, once you submit everything, once we know what your purchasing power is, I don't use the word pre-approval, like your purchasing power, then I will set up the searches and see what would fit your purchasing power. So they're like, oh, wow, okay. Because I mean, when you think about it, those are the steps, right? But if you don't paint the picture, and over the years, I've learned that the better you are at managing their expectation, the more seamless the process is because you already told them what was going to be happening. You already told them we're not going to be going looking at houses until we know your purchasing power. So they're patient with that and they're motivated to get the stuff uploaded and all the things. So that helps a lot on the buyer side. And then, Bart starts showing them the property. The first time I meet with the client with Bart, and then he just goes off on his own and he does his thing. Now, on the seller side, I have to show you this. I got props for you. Love props. So we created these books, okay? This is the seller's book. And shout out to Bart. He did this. He put this whole book together, have it bound. And you see how we have the whole Remax colors. So some of it is our stuff that we already had. And then we use the Remax stuff. I don't know if you can see, but that's the stuff that's in Gold Connect. Hello, right? So we incorporate everything and it's an easy, to follow book. And of course, in the back, it's our track record stuff and all the things, the Zillow reviews, all of that bio and all the, so that's the seller. And then we have the buyer, same thing. So the first time we meet them, we bring this and it's actually nicely put away in the Rematch folder with more stuff like, our YouTube channel, all the things. And then, some swag and all that. So they're like, oh, thank you so much. So it's like, you have only one chance at first impression and you want it to be remembered well. And they didn't expect anything. So on the seller side, we sellers a little bit different because they're mostly refer to us, the majority of sellers. And like we just had one where our friends lived down the street from them, and I hadn't talked to these friends like in a long time, but we were connected through mutual friends, and we see each other on social media. And they texted me. They're like, "Hey, my neighbor is selling their house, and their agent is like been in the business for 50 years. We're not even sure if the agent is still there. You need to call them." And it's like that, right? And I get on it right away. I've learned over the years that the longer you take, the colder the whole referral thing becomes. So like, don't be too busy for that. Just check in. And a lot of times I found that if you text them, they're much more responsive because they don't know your number. They're not going to pick up your call. I mean, how many of us don't pick up calls we don't know? We have a robo killer and all the things, right? So I text them, introduce myself. I have a template for that too. I have a template for everything. And you can call it lazy or whatever, but I just like to systematize things. So anything that I do more than twice or three times, it turns into a template. So I just pop it in, text it to them, and then they call back. And their home is coming on the market next week in American Canyon. And so the whole process of like onboarding is really the relationship building from the beginning, from before I meet them. And I've gotten pretty good at making that connection meaningful, even if it's by cell phone or by Zoom, before I even meet them in person, because, lives are busy. And especially, I have a lot of clients with young children. Forget about trying to meet all of them with their kids and the dinner time and all the things, right? So they love this. They're like, oh my gosh, Zoom is awesome. And if I could share just one more thing, I present offers now, especially multiple offers. I create a matrix. I present it to them via Zoom and they love it. They don't like, trying to get to meet them and all the shuffling of the papers. And then I email them the documents afterwards, but I'm like, this is what we have. And I presented them and they're like, okay, let's stick with the top two. We don't need to spend time. But it's become so much more efficient when you make it efficient for them and convenient for them. Again, it's the relationship building part. So I've learned that you have to see how your client prefers to be communicated with, whether it's a text. And I asked them that at the beginning, would you like to be communicated via text, cell, or email? And they will tell you, and then you make note of that, and that's how you communicate. So that was a loaded answer to a very short question. Sorry about that.
No, that's what I wanted is for you to share. So this is perfect and really spectacular information and coming from your heart. So I'm grateful for you sharing all of this with us today. So let's talk about this ever-growing, what most of us would call a database, right? Of past
Mm-hmm.
clients and everybody else. But this starts to get kind of daunting when you speak about referrals. And I know that you get a significant number of referrals and
Mm-hmm.
really top agents, they do. That's how you build your business. So
Yes.
how do you take this, we'll call it database. I know that you call it something different. I want to hear about that. How do you manage those relationships? How do you stay in touch with those people so that that relationship remains year after year, the referrals continue to come and that database continues to grow?
Yeah. Great question. So there's several things. It's like a Swiss Army knife. You know, you do different things, and sometimes you add on more stuff, and sometimes you take out stuff that is not efficient. So my mantra is efficiency. I really value my time, especially now that I'm older. My kids are in college, and I have so many other passion projects that I want to make sure that I have the energy to spread around. Um, Efficiency is really important. So as far as database, so I have to, again, kudos to Bart. You're the man. He came from, so he's a CPA, so he's very analytical, methodical. He used to train other CPAs, and he knows training. So he came in with this like mind that I don't have. So everything used to be all in my head, which was scary because I don't even know how I got to where I was until 2 years ago, because it was just all just, I remember do this and I'll do this, right? But so Bart set up our CRM now where there's a drip campaign. There are different drip campaigns, and he went and found a consultant that created the drip campaigns that embedded my YouTube videos. Like, it's really cool. You think I did all that? I'm like, I get it. I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. Okay. Um, and it's really short, just a little, check in and all the things. So there's a drip campaign for clients, drip campaign for prospective buyer, drip campaign for prospective seller, drip campaign for nurturing, like they're not ready to do anything. They might be a year or two out. So you're not pounding them with like, you're ready to buy, you're ready to buy. That's annoying, right? It's called spam, right? So anyway, so Bart codes them in our database to which drip campaign and all the things. And then sometimes I get a reply and I'm like, oh, and then I had to go to my send box to see what was said. It's just really cool. So that's one way. And they, and we can see when they open and how many, multiple times click rates and all. And then the other thing is the newsletter, right? And then, um, of course, the gratitude party that really generates us like, so I will tell you this, because when you do business in a way that you don't expect anything in return, my gratitude party is not just for clients, as I mentioned. Some of those guests have been friends, have done just amazing stuff that have been a blessing in our lives, in our city, in our community, or just organizations that I'm part of. And the next year, they're like, all right, I'm ready to buy. Like, I, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know, right? But that has been happening. That has been the theme for us. So, and as a matter of fact, if I could just add one more thing, sorry, this is how my brain works. Um, Once a year is now not enough because we want to see them more. So in May this year, we're going to have like this really award-winning, awesome photographer who's a great friend. Again, relationship. He's done all of our business shots and family shots and our son's graduation, all the things. So he's going to come to our backyard. We have a pool, we have a nice little backyard. And we're going to do like a photo thing, family photo thing. And, we'll have food and I get to hang out with them. I don't want to do any work. I just want to hang out with them. And they're going to stick around because they're not just coming to take pictures. And we don't really often invite people to our backyard. I'm actually very like, when I go home, I I crawl into my, I don't open the door. I don't, so this is cool. They're like, oh, we get to come to your back. And so I already sent the save the date thing to our this is just clients now, our A-list clients, because it's going to be a smaller group. But that's going to be our second touch of the year. Also, the other thing, and I don't get paid by saying this, but an agent referred me to a company called Client Giant. And I send a gift is sent out to our clients every quarter. And you can check out the Client Giant. I might have a referral link or something. So let me know if you want it, because I think you get some kind of perk if you get the referral link and all the things. But I've been doing that for like almost 4 years. And I get texts from them because sometimes I don't even know what got sent out, but it's very personalized. It's like their address is not on there. It's like coming from me. And it says some really like relevant, thoughtful. I like thoughtful. And it's gifts that are you can't go find at the store. It's like really unique. It's curated. And they love it. And I love it. And I don't just send it to clients. Like I send it to I was sending it to our pastor who's become a friend, just people that I want to send it to, right? It's your business. You don't have to be in the box thinking, how am I going to get more clients? How am I, like, just be who you are in a way that you would be with your neighbor or your friend. And then if they like you, they'll refer a business to you. They'll text you and say, call my neighbor right now. They're packing, right? Did I answer your question?
You really did. Yes, I love that. That is a very good answer. And I love the gift system that kind of works for you as well to manage those relationships.
Thank you.
So obviously you have such a big heart. Anybody that knows you knows it. I mean, look at in front of you there, you've got the heart. There's a heart in your logo. And I know, and your heart really drives you to give back to your community. Now,
Yeah.
I know a lot of times when we look at giving back, we look at giving back as kind of one thing that we do, and then we do real estate over here, and then we do other things. I know your giving back really integrates into kind of your entire outlook on life, business, life, all of it.
Yes.
But can you share kind of how you balance and how you structure your giving back, because you've been so involved for so many years in your
Mhm.
community there. How do you do that? How do you manage that with everything else that you have going on?
It's funny. I get asked that a lot. It's like, how can you be everywhere in like 3 days? And here's the thing. And actually, I co-led a mastermind for top agents, and it was in Napa yesterday. And I talked about this, and actually another agent talked about it, and it's the same thing. You don't, you document your life, right? Your day in a life, and if you do social media, this. People cheer you on the part that's a day in the life of who you are, how you go about your day, how you serve, how you give, what your involvement is. So you could be in two different functions on the same day. Doesn't mean you have to jam everything and post it all out on the same day. You can pace it, right? So people are like, "Oh my God, you're doing something every day." It's like, no, I actually sleep. I get very good amount of hours of sleep. It's very important to me, right? But you plan things out of like when you want to share what. And I'm very intentional about what I share and how my involvement is. What I will tell you is this. So I led a vision workshop in partnership with our American Canyon Chamber for the chamber members that just happened the end of January. And one of the things I talked about was, if it doesn't line up with your passion and your vision and your life and what fills your heart, you're going to have to say no to some stuff. Because if you're like me and you need 7 hours of sleep and you have now whatever the balance is, whatever how many hours left, uh, you got to use them wisely, right? So I'm involved. So my passion, and this is what when I speak to students or when I do trainings or whatever, I have two businesses. Oh, that's four. Two businesses. Two businesses. One is for profit, which is real estate. It's our vocation, is what we do for a living. And the second one is nonprofit, is my passion. It's what makes me who I am. It's what keeps me grounded, is what keeps me grateful and humble, which is working leadership development. The leadership development work has been part of me for over 10 years. I mean, I'm a certified leadership trainer, but I bring that work into schools. I bring that work to the staff, the teachers at a North Hill Christian school, which is I was nominated to be a school board chair. So I go in and I train our teachers because they need to get fed. And if you're listening to me right now, that has nothing to do with real estate, right? And I know the stuff cold, just like I know real estate, because I've been doing it for so long and I don't do it for money. But those are the things, the people, the communities that if you serve authentically, every chance they get, they will say, you know what, I'm looking to buy or sell next year, and you're it. Like, I'm coming to you, right? Because if that saying, people will do business with you if they know you, like you, and trust you. Well, how do you gain those three elements? They're not going to know you, like you, and trust you if you're not telling your story, if you're not serving, if you're not out there, like popping up to things once in a while doesn't make people remember you. It's how you consistently show up. So to me, if it's something that you care about, you're going to do it, right? Nobody has to tell you, and you don't think it's work. So for me, it lights me up to go and like, when a teacher says, come and speak to the Link Crew kids at the high school, they're leaders and they're mentoring younger kids. I'm like, that's all I need. And I schedule those things like work appointments. I don't reschedule, I don't flake. I like their priorities to me. So that's the commitment part, right? So, and um, I section it out where I have enough time for everything. So if I know that I have to do 2 trainings in the week, you don't just show up and start talking, right? I mean, you have to prepare. Like, you might not know this, but Stephanie and I prepared for our what's this thing?
MEC.
Yeah, thank you. MEC today. So we didn't just show up and start talking. Well, it's the same thing. So you got to segment your time. Like, I block out my time for different things, and it's on my calendar. And if it's not on my calendar, I have a hard time fulfilling it because it's not on there. Like, our friend was like, "Hey, we have this, monthly breakfast club," and she's like, "Are you coming?" And I said, "I'm sorry, it's not on my calendar." Um, so I think that what I've learned is that you have to be respectful of your time and your schedule, and you have to value it so much that other people will also respect and value your time. And that's how our clients work with us. They're like, are you available? We need you to come out and do because I'll tell them the stages, right? Like, let's say, for example, if we have a listing, I make sure the listing is signed first before I do any more work, because I've learned from the past, right? And once we've done that, I said, you know what? If it takes you 3 months, 4 months to get the house ready, that's fine. And we identify that. So like, we have a client who just reached out and said, are you available next week around this time for you to do the walkthrough so we can go through the punch list of how we need to get the house ready? Like that. So the clients become, and I wasn't like this at the beginning, I was 24/7, which is not true because you got to sleep, right? But when I was new, I was doing that. And over the years, I'm like, so these are the times I have available. Do you want to do it this time, this day, this time, Wednesday at 1 or Thursday at 3? What works better for you? And I always say at the bottom, if neither of this works, please suggest a time, right? But I want to have control of that schedule before I'm chasing all over trying to like pin people down. And it's really amazing how much availability people have during the day. I don't really do evening appointments anymore because I haven't had to. And I don't, like, once in a while I'll do like Saturday meetings. Yeah. And Sunday we set it aside for open house. And Bart does most of the open house. Kudos to Bart again. So actually, I have time. And I need to have time because I can't be on all the time. I don't think any of us can. It's an it's a business designed for, if you're an introvert, you have to find your extroverted side. You know what I mean? Because you're with the people. You gotta love the people. So you set aside time so that, and you recharge your energy so that when you are out there, when I'm outside of my house, I am on. And then when I'm inside my house, I'm off.
Okay, so I got to talk branding with you, but I have to tell a story first. So this is,
Okay.
I absolutely love this story. So we're going to talk about your amazing brand and how you use the your team brand alongside the Remax brand. But before we do that, I have to tell you how I was first introduced to you. And of course, Carrie was working with you to join, and I
Mm.
hadn't gotten to meet you in person yet, and you sent her a text. You had just gotten a pedicure and you had your toenails done in Remax Blue. And you said that something to the effect of, I'm all in, I'm coming. I used Remax Blue polish on my toenails. I'm ready. And this was the first time that I had ever heard from you. And I thought, wow, she is committed. She is taking this very seriously. So how do you use the blue and the red and the white, of course, in the balloon? Yeah, look at this. How
I
do
do this all the time.
Of
Yes.
course. How do you use the brand in everything you do? Because you
Yeah.
use your own team branding alongside the Remax brand, but you
Mhm.
use them both and you use them very successfully. How important is that in how you do your marketing?
So I need to give you a little backgrounder. I quit real estate in 2013 because I burned out. I was with a private, private firm, brokerage, not a franchise, and I didn't know how to do the business by myself. Like I sometimes I would have the TC, but I did, imagine there's so many things in real estate. It's crazy. It's marketing. It's working with the clients, the servicing side, the negotiation. You got to learn the stuff, and you got to. I don't even know how I did it, but anyway, my volume was less than two, but I burned out. My clients were losing their homes, 2011 and on. And so the people that I cherish, I was able to be part of their joy, buying their houses at outrageous prices. They were losing their homes and they came back, and, there was just the sadness. And I was like, I just like, my heart just sank, and I was like, I can't make money doing this. So I left real estate, and I was quitting. And I went after what I was passionate about, which was leadership development. And that's when I became a certified, leadership trainer. Um, and a few years later, I think with God's grace, he's, I don't know, it's like the message in my heart that, you know what you're doing here and you're good at this. You need to go back to real estate, serve families, and the things that you love to do, which is talking to students and kids and doing all these leadership camps and all the things that didn't really make money. Um, just do that as a give back. I'm like, huh, trust me, that was not my idea. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So I came back 2015, and I told myself I need to be in a franchise. I don't want to do anything from scratch. I don't want to figure stuff out. I want platform. I'll pay the fees, whatever, right? And I started out with Prudential. So I mean, I started out with a franchise. Um, so I did that, and then when I came to Remax, and it was really difficult for me because the first thing I thought about is, oh my God, I got to change my color, my skin color. Like my website has to come down, and we got to switch the colors. And then I thought, okay, once I made the decision, with Carrie's friendship and relationship, and I trusted her completely. Um, I was like, all right, let's start with the toes. We'll do blue, right? But the way I look at it is Remax Gold is the number one, no, Remax Gold is the number one franchise in all of Remax. Like it's already recognized before I stumbled into it. Why would I not leverage on that? Like it can't hurt me, right? And so when I made the move, I made this whole hoopla, and I had no clients. And I think this is important for everyone to hear, when I came back, because I took a break for a couple of years and my license almost expired, and then I had to like quick style renew it. Um, I didn't have any clients, right? Because my database dried up. I didn't nourish it. I didn't do anything with it. And I came back like a new agent. Like I knew how to do real estate, but a lot of things had changed. I attended all the new agents meetings. Like I was hungry to do, I wanted to do it well, right? And um when I came back without any database, I remember it was actually people that I met from the Moms Club, again, relationship, that kind of like gave me a shot and said, you know, do the thing. We want you to be our listing agent and all that. So I branded when I came back in intentionally because that's why I was part of a franchise, right? So when I came to Remax, same thing. It's just branding that you got to use and you got to like, it's like a cape. You got to put it on, you know? So I've done that. Like it's on everything. Here, I want to show you. Look at that. My little Remax. So my own logo has the balloon. So we incorporated I have like probably 7 different variations of my Team Casamali and Remax Gold logo, like married to each other. So I do that. It's on everything. There's no reason it would be a disservice to myself and my clients not to use the Remax Gold and Remax brand because people know Remax. It takes out so many layers of initial conversation to convince them.
It does. It's incredibly well known. But you said that better than I could say it. So thank you for sharing
Oh,
that.
sure.
So I know we kind of talked about Bart a little bit, and I know that both of your sons have grown up in and around your business, of course, and help
Mhm.
as needed from time to time. Can you share a little bit about how I know he came back in and created the systems, but how has that evolved your business and kind of your relationship a little bit too, to where you're able to do more things or different things or accomplish
Mhm.
more because now there are two of you.
Yes. Um, so you know, it's interesting. So the first year was a little bit of like who's doing what and figuring things out. And we had never worked together like this before in the 25, oh my gosh, 25 years we've been married. Um, he has helped me with the finance side of the business, right? Because he's a CPA. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better person to manage our money, right? Um, so I never had to worry about that. But when he came on board, I started looking at our whole business. I'm a very visual person. So in my head, again, I could see different departments that needs to be run separately. So Bart runs our ops side. He manages the CRM, like I mentioned. He looks at all the different videos and marketing of other agents or things that are working, and he would suggest stuff to me. And he, of course, he still manages. I promoted him to an official title of our CFO. That's when you have your own business, you can do that, right? Come up with titles. Um, and so he manages anything that has to do with structure. He's created, excuse me, the SOP, standard of procedures for buyers and sellers. So all the things, can you imagine? And that's a lot of stuff that was in my head. So when I downloaded to him, he's like, "Oh my God, like you got so many layers of stuff." And I didn't realize that. But anyway, so now when I see it in writing, I'm like, that's a lot of stuff. So he has that. Um, and he also functions as a buyer's agent. So if it's, and all the calls go in to his phone. So so that's why I'm very peaceful. You know, he filters, he vets the calls, and then like, I have an appointment after this, somebody who's looking to buy who found us online, and he already vetted the call, and he's like, okay, you have a scheduled call. So then I'll talk about, you know, what I know about the market and all the things. And then he shows the properties. He writes all the listing agreements. He does the avids. He writes the offers, and you know, we're working like this together. But he handles all the documentation, all the things that are not my jam. and takes me a lot longer to do. Like he's got a whole system. He gets on these Remax trainings about how to use stuff and he gets all excited telling me, and I'm like, okay, lost you 20 minutes ago. Thank you very much. But so he handles all that, and I handle, and he said it best when we were speaking to our real estate coach. He said, Kasama, I want to free her up so she can be that front person. She's a spokesperson of our business. She's a person that they need to meet. And then once the business, once they're in our system, then Bart steps in and does a lot of the follow through part. Um, yeah, so that's how we do it. And because this year our goal, our vision is to add a couple of agents to our team, because now I can really do more stuff, right? It's all about freeing me up. And Bart can, now he's solid. He can do the training, right, to the agents that have to have the same core values as we do. Um, all these SOPs, standard procedures, are going to come in so handy, because I think it's hard when you bring somebody in, and I tried this before. We hired assistants and licensed assistants, and we didn't have our structure in place, so they didn't know what to do, right? So we got to know internally what our structure is, so that when we bring new people in, there's a structure that they plug into, and I think that that's really important. So we're at the season where we're ready to do that, and are able to equip the new people to do that, so I can go do other stuff. I mean, additional stuff, not leaving real estate, of course.
But just to continue to grow it, and having him join
Yes.
in and has given you the ability to expand and become more organized and more, let's use your word, efficient, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, just going back to the database conversation, within our CRM, we haven't gone deep. You know what I mean? Like people keep talking about like getting new names and more names and all that things. I mean, within just one name, so I have to share the stats with you. Where did I put it? Okay. So I asked Mark to run stats. Um, and this is just tracking in the last 5 years, okay? 25.79% of our clients have done more than 2 transactions with us. Repeat transactions, that's going deep, right? And then 23.08% of people in our sphere and our clients, 23.08% have referred businesses to us. Some of them more than once. So some of these people, like, for example, back to the gratitude party, they're not our clients, but they are fans. Like they're referring people to us. So when I was going through the list, I couldn't even believe it, that, these stats speak for themselves. So I think that there's a lot of room to go deep in what we have now. And also there are just so many ways to prospect organically that there's only so much one person can do, that I can teach and I can show agents how to do this, because it's building a team. To me, it's not just about growing your business, it's about growing and equipping people that come into um, your team as well. I mean, that's what Bart and I have done in the last 2 years. I mean, to see what he does now, and I listen, I eavesdrop and I listen to him convert, and I'm like, oh, you go, honey. So there you go.
So basically, it all works, right? All of the incredible things that you're doing to build the relationship, starting
Yeah.
with when you initially meet the consumer, all the things you do through the transaction, and then really all the things after the transaction and outside of that are what
Yeah.
create those raving fans that continue
Yes.
to come back and that root for you and that send you referrals. It all works. I mean, there's
Yeah.
numbers.
And one thing I have to say about referral business, what I found the last couple of years is that they've already checked you out. So it's important, of course, to have a platform for them to check you out before they meet you, right? So we have a website, we have a custom website, we have, I've been in a few articles. Again, the relationship, people nominated me to be written up and interviewed. So I add all that into our website. It's social proof, right? And then you have people just sort of like they check you out, like our Google business page, all the things. I mean, I'm not telling you my secrets. It's all out there. If you go on YouTube, you know about all these things. It's just a matter of doing it, right? And so they've checked out whatever they've needed to check out. So by the time they reach out to us, it's not even me trying to convert them. It's more like they want to just interview to make sure that you're that person that they checked out. And they'll a lot of times, like I would say 8 times out of 10, they'll say, oh, I already checked. Like, I'm like, let me send you some, our links. They're like, oh, you don't need to. We already checked you out. We found you on YouTube, actually. And it's like, you don't have to do the convincing. They're not interviewing that I found. And if they are, I asked them too. I said, are you talking to a few more agents? And it's okay to ask, like it's a two-way interview the way I see it. It's like, are you speaking to other agents? And 8 times out of 10 now, not always like this, but now they're like, no, we're just talking to you. So I'm like, okay. And then they're like, okay, so what do we need to do to get started? Don't you love that when they ask you that? So, and I say that with all humility and gratitude that it didn't happen overnight, like you said. It's it's years of just crafting that, what you say and how you say it. It's knowing who you are, what your business stands for, and if it lines up with them, they will choose you. And if it doesn't line up with them, they're not going to choose you. And that's okay. There's an agent for everybody. And I know some people, like, they talk to us and they're like, next thing I know, they're working with somebody else. I'm like, we're not meant to work together. That's okay. So there you go.
And it's being you though. It's taking everything that you are, the complete Kasama, and packaging that up and sharing that out. And it's all completely authentic. So if anybody hasn't met you in person and they're watching this for the first time today, you're the same person when you run into you at R4 or at a Remax event. You're the same person inside and out. And it's just a matter of being able to share that out with the world so that they can get to know you and
Right.
reach out when they're ready, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's just too much, that I have quotes all over my house and in the office. It's insane. But one of them says, be yourself. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Like, it's so much energy to be all the different things. Like, and every time I walk into something, or, when I speak to students, I'm in the assembly or I'm speaking to teachers, people I don't know. Okay. I can only be myself. I owe it to myself to be myself, because if I try to be something that I'm not, like, that would just make me crazy. Like, I can't remember who I'm supposed to be. So I'll just be myself. I'm too old for that. So yeah, I just be myself. And if they like what they see, right, then they're gonna the conversation will develop from there. You don't have to try so hard. I know that there's scripts and all the things, and I use some of them, but at some point, it has to be you knowing how to overcome objection without word for word scripts, but really it has to sound like you. My newsletter sounds like me. My CRM drip, when it doesn't sound like me, I tweak it, because people can tell when it's not you generating the communication. I mean, people are vastly intelligent in this online, generation.
Very much so.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate your time today and sharing everything with everybody. Do you have any final words or final thoughts? Anything we missed that you want to share out with Gold Nation before we wrap up today?
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'm a visual person. I'm going to read it to you. So I came up with this acronym. Okay. I know you probably can't see it as well, but I'm going to read it to you. It's giver. G for gratitude. And I think it's so important to wake up every day, like every client, everything that happens in our lives, our health, our spouse, our relationships, our business. Remember to be grateful, because when you're grateful, you can't be unhappy and grateful at the same time. And I choose gratitude. Okay, that's the gratitude party. Okay, and then I for being intentional, and you share that as part of your the title of our talk today. Be intentional in everything that you're doing. Be present. Like, don't be in a conversation and it's like, oh, yep, okay. Like, right? So be intentional. Like, whatever you're doing, be present to it. Put your phone away. And this is the other thing I want to tell you. With my clients, I tell them, I said, if you text me and I don't respond right away, it's only because I'm meeting with someone or I'm in a meeting. Because as you can see, the last hour we've been meeting, I haven't looked at my phone. I want to be respectful of your time and our time together. So they completely get it. Okay. So be intentional wherever you are. V for value. Always add value to people's lives. I mean, you can either be a value taker or a value giver. Be a giver. Add value in everything you do, and it'll just come back to you in ways that you didn't even anticipate. E for being extraordinary. The difference between extraordinary and ordinary is just a little extra, right? So be extraordinary in everything you do. Do excellent work. That's the other E. Okay. There's just not enough people that strive for that in the world. I'm not even just talking about real estate. And R is for real. Be real. Be authentic. It's not hard to be real. You just gotta like be okay with some people rejecting your realness, right? But I think as long as you show up with kindness and grace and respect for other people, your realness is what's going to carry you through all the relationships that you have now and the relationships that are to come.
Okay, that is fantastic. I love that acronym. That is the perfect way to end today because that really sums up everything that you shared and everything that we talked about. So I'm feeling personally extremely grateful for your time and for everything that you have been willing to share with the audience today. Thank you, Kasama, for being here. It has been extraordinary the past
Oh,
hour and everything that we've learned. And thank you, Gold Nation, for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you the first week of next month for Coffee with the Co-Brokers. And then MEC Wednesday, of course, comes back in March. So thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you soon.
thank you.